Notifications, notification management. We covered this a little bit. I want to go into a couple of more use cases today. But notifications are, of course, the items that we send to our customers. And as I said, you don't want to, let's say, do all this in a manual way. It is an automation platform. So there's a lot possible when you look at all the capabilities of the platform, what and which events you want to notify your customers, et cetera, et cetera. So notification management, from my perspective, is the heart of, let's say, the relationship to your customer and their subscriptions. You want to send out notifications when their subscriptions are about to expire or are about to renew, right? I mean, those are two different things, but I don't want my customers blaming me that I should have told them that their subscription would automatically renew in 2 weeks. Because were waiting for this, they wanted to switch off auto renewal, et cetera, and they were not able to because I did not tell them that it was going to happen. So all those kind of things, I want to beat them to it. And of course, I don't want to hire 3, 4, 5 people to do this on a manual basis and then scan whose subscriptions are about to we've got a platform for that, and that platform is going to be able to do that. So with that in mind, let's look at what we're going to talk about. So the concepts here is, of course, a notification. For us, a notification is a message to inform customers on events or states of the system. And that is the most generic definition of a notification. And that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. If there is an event that happens that the customer should know about, and one of the things I could think of here is an event where the customer's order has failed provisioning. We want to tell the customer that, right? That we might also CC our support team to fix it is, of course, the added value, and is the collateral. I wouldn't say damage, but the collateral advantage. A state of the system. Your subscription at this moment is going to expire in 2 weeks. Let's renew. Those kind of scenarios. And for that, there are, let's say, 4 concepts that we need to talk about. The first one is the notification template. The second one is a placeholder. The third one are the common notification settings. And the fifth one is that we can set up what we call schedules. So what is a template? A template is a reusable basic design of emails sent out by Cloud Blue Commerce on a particular event or for a specific state. What does that mean? It simply means that we pre-build our messages, our emails that we want to send out, and then assign them to those specific events. And the moment that event pops up, the system will pick that template and send it to the customer. So what is the structure of that template then? And there are basically what we see here, and I'm going to demonstrate it later. There is a type of message. The type of message is, of course, depending on when you would want to use it. What do I mean with that? I mean, if something is about an order, you don't want to see the list of, let's say, 80 other templates that have nothing to do with orders in the system. The same thing for subscriptions or for accounts. We want to enable, let's say, a default filter when we want to assign a specific notification template to a typical event to only show the relevant messages. And the way to do that is by defining the message type. Of course, a message has a body as well. The specific information that you want to send out. And of course, in this scenario, you can use, and we're going to look at that in three slides. We can use placeholders. So we can pull in that message body, we can pull the specifics of that subscription. We can pull the specifics of that specific account, etc., etc. And of course, you have to decide on in what format you want to send out those notifications. Do you want to send it out as HTML text messages? Do you want to send it out as plain text? Do you want to use both? And eventually, there is even a choice to add a PDF attachment to it. That is a copy of that HTML body. Of course, the messages are at some point sent out based on an event. And these events, of course, are the triggers that we have. A message is always triggered by Cloud WooCommerce when something happens on the platform. Let's say we receive a threshold of dates. And the threshold of dates could be 3 days or 15 days before the subscription expiration. That's something that happens. It could be that a credit card is about to expire. The threshold is the date, and we are sending out something based on that specific date. We can decide to send it out only on that date, but we can also use that date as a marker where we can say, okay, let's send it out 4 days in advance. Different types of messages are needed to announce these different events. So what are those message types? We've got what we call account notifications. What are some of the events? When an account is created, when information is updated, when the customer has an outstanding balance, when when for whatever reason we need to transfer that account. So notifications that are related to the account. We also have notifications related to the order. You can read the let's say the events that trigger an order, that can trigger an order notification. Because before I go with the rest of those message types, let's be fair. Those triggers are happening, but whether we want to send out a notification is still a configuration. The trigger happens, the system looks, should we do something? Yes, okay, we send it. Should we not do something? Okay, we don't send a notification. Subscription notifications, for instance, that welcome email. If this is the notification about service provisioning that you see in service plans. But also service creation failed. If provisioning failed in the somewhere in Connect, or at least we get back that provisioning failed, we can send out a notification. Subscription expiration, subscription stop and terminate, all those things are based on the subscription and subscription life cycle, for instance. So those are triggered when something happens to the subscription. If you have usage-based, this is becoming a little bit stale, this one, because we rather go to pay as you go than we have a usage limit. But an example still could be that you have, let's say, not unlimited data on your mobile phone, but you have, let's say, a data cap of 4 gigs. And if you are near that, you get a notification. Most of the time, a text message, right? we are able to do that as well. However, those subscriptions are getting less and less common. The feature's still there, but they were mostly aimed at web hosting, where the storage space of the website was reaching a specific limit. Now, most of the services that have usage scenarios are not capped at some point, but are pay as you go anyway. So there is no limit that can be reached, which means that the limit notification, of course, is also not going out. But we still have that capacity. So if you have a service where this is applicable, and I might think in this case about Claro Drive as an example, because I can imagine that you have different bundles with a different size of Claro Drive, where you send a notification to the customer if he's reaching his limit. Tell him, hey, your Claro Drive is about to become full. That means you cannot store information there anymore. And give the customer the opportunity to either add space to it or upgrade to a larger Claro Drive subscription or whatever, right? That is what you can do. All the notifications around financial documents. Notifications about credit card expiration, for instance, or if the cardholder's consent is required, meaning I want to charge a credit card, but that credit card requires 3D authorization, meaning that the customer now has to approve the payment that I want to make, or that I want the card to make. And of course, you don't want to sit and wait for that to happen. You want to notify the customer and say, hey, we're charging your card. You have to approve that charge. This is what it's for, etc., etc. And of course, there could be system or user notifications, password change notification, confirmation emails. And confirmation email is not just a confirmation, an email that we confirm to have something, but in most cases, the confirmation email template is a email where there is a link that I can prove that I received this email. So to prove that my email address is correct. Then we have that placeholder. And what is a placeholder? It's a temporary thing that I put in there that will eventually be replaced with the actual data from the database. Customer specific, order specific, account specific. We call those placeholders. And placeholders look something like this. Let's say this is an email that I want to send out, but here you see it's very specific for Donovan with the date May 29 and a specific email address. Of course, if we want to send this out to Donovan, we can do this. But if we want to send this out to any other customer, of course, we want to generalize this so that the system then picks for those highlighted or bold texts, picks information from the database. And we used placeholders for that. A placeholder in the system, we have two types. We've got single data fields, and they look like this. And here you see that these fields that I have here are only single data fields, meaning that there is a single customer name, there is an end date, there is a customer email address. They start with a double at and end with an at sign, or we can have a data set. And a data set starts with two hash signs, ends with a hash at the beginning, and then the last field of the data set is, I would almost say, just like an HTML tag or an XML tag. It uses the same double hash at the front and hash at the end, but there is that / in there. So anything in between, let me put a pen here, anything in between these two tags is now the data set. Another thing we have one more, let's say, placeholder. I'm calling it a placeholder because it looks like a single data field. but it is actually a subtemplate. A subtemplate is, for instance, the header of your email. If the top of your email should always look the same, it's useless to create it over and over and over and over again for each single notification, where each time you create it, you can make typos, you can make errors, etc., etc. What you can do is you can create a subtemplate, as we call it, and call that subtemplate in the other notification templates. The advantage is, if for whatever reason you want to make a change to the header, you don't have to go through 100 normal notification templates, but you can only go to that header and change it. And from that moment on, all send out notifications will work with the changed header. In this case, they took the the example of a footer, but it looks like a placeholder, as you see here. At, and then a name, and then an @ sign. So it looks similar. Besides that, besides those placeholders, we have what we call the common notification settings. There are a couple of things that I would advise you to fill out always. Logo, link, control panel URL, because these will probably be used in some of your messages. A notification going out to a customer that tells the customer, hey, thank you for onboarding on our platform. Here's where you can find your customer control panel. It's a good idea to have a good URL in there, a branded URL. You set that one in the common notification settings. But another thing that you set there is for very typical events, like an invoice created for a customer, you can define which template to use. So you don't have to, let's say, find an order flow where the invoice is generated. It's just an event. Okay, invoice is generated. Okay, if the invoice is generated, we want to send this. If a payment is received, we can send this notification to confirm that we received the money, etc., etc. All that stuff is done in the common notification settings. Like invoice, refund. We have the logos, etc. I'm going to show you all this in a demonstration in a second. And then we have, and that's what I like about this, also the possibility to set up those schedules. And actually there can be, I would almost say, 2 sets of schedules. The first set is, I think, relevant for every single vendor on the platform, because it's all about the sending of warnings that subscriptions are about to expire, or warnings that subscriptions are about to renew. Customer cannot miss it in that case. The other one is more valid only if you have active payment methods on the system. And what do I mean with active payment methods? Credit card stuff. Payment methods like credit cards that expire. If you don't have that, it's no use setting up a full schedule, because there is no credit card to expire. So don't use that schedule. I'm going to do all those demos. So subscription expiration policy. Each of those, basically what you create is a schedule. Just like a discount, it's an empty thing that you create first, that you enable. But after that, you have to put in the specifics of that schedule. And that schedule has, let's say, possible conditions. You can always send it. Your subscription is about to expire. You can select to always send it, or you can select to only send it if the customer account is active, meaning that subscriptions on hold, or customer accounts on hold, will not receive this notification. Or maybe you want to send a a specific notification is if auto renewal is on, as opposed to when auto renewal is off and there is no renewal order yet. So if auto renewal is on, I want to tell the customer that his subscription is about to renew. Whereas if auto renewal is off, I want to tell him that his subscription is about to expire and that he has to do something. Right? So you can have multiple messages in there, multiple lines in there, and send out a different notification based on the condition that you set. And then we have the same thing for payment method expiration. Also, something about a send condition. Each customer has a default payment method. If the credit card, that is the default payment method, and the default payment method is used, for instance, for all those billing orders. If that one is about to expire, it simply means that from that expiration moment, the customer will not be able to pay his recurring fees anymore, because that credit card expires, meaning that we will not charge that card anymore, meaning that billing orders will not be paid. So I can send out a specific notification for the default payment method. I can send a notification for all payment methods or for anything but the payment method. This is your choice. And it also, of course, depends on whether you have payment methods that can expire or not. And of course, all payment methods without consent, meaning that all partners that did not provide consent to use their cards for automatic or recurring payments, these payment methods eventually will be removed. So be aware that these send conditions are available, that you can use them, but they're only useful if you have, let's say, that end, that you not have that send, that you have a expiring payment method in the system for your customers. If you use Claro Invoice, there is no expiration on that. So the whole payment method expiration schedule for you is not useful. Let's skip that slide. Notification templates can be very useful in this scenario. We can assign the common notification settings. User account created, if there is an invoice created, etc., etc. But further, we also have scenarios like on the service plan. Let's say that welcome email that we discussed. Thank you for buying this and this product. Here you can find the white paper on how to use this service. Specific events. If an account or a subscription is on hold, you can send out a notification to the customer. I don't know why I would want to send out an account is created notification, but it is still a possibility. If the customer, for instance, calls a sales representative, that sales representative creates the account in your CRM system, in your financial system, and that one using APIs creates the account in Cloud BlueCommerce, of course, it might be an option to send that confirmation to the customer to show him, hey, we've created your account, this is where you will be able to log in and buy more services. But on the other hand, most of those scenarios happen when that same customer is purchasing a subscription. So if you do it this way, first an account created, then an order placed, then a payment received, then a subscription was provisioned, then we send him an invoice. That means that we send the customer, if he buys a single service, we send him 5 emails from the beginning. I'm not sure if I, as a customer, would want that. because that means that I'm in for a rough ride, because every single thing I do on that platform will give me not one, but multiple emails that I have to either discard or mark as read or whatever. So be very careful about what events you're going to use to send out notifications. You can filter specific customer classes and assign them a specific payment method expiration notification. So large customers, you want to have a different schedule than the small and home office customers, because of authorization that those large entities have to do, etc. And then we can send out those order notifications. When we looked at the order processing and we went into those order flows, I showed you where to use the order flow to warn your customer that that their order failed. And in the BCC field, you can add the field of your support team. Order flows can use those notifications as well. So before I continue with the next part of the story, what questions do you have? If you don't have a question, give me a thumbs up, please. Okay. All right. So, who will receive notifications? Well, that depends on where you send it to, and that sounds like an open door because there's the recipient. But what we want to look at in this case is maybe not the person, but the role that can receive information. Each business account, and if you later watch the slide deck, it says every customer or reseller account has. That's not true. Every business account has 3 different contacts. A consumer only has 1. And when you create a customer, and let me quickly show that to you. Oh, I'm completely off. If I go to customers in billing, let me go to billing. And I go to customers and I say new customer account. Here is where I select whether something is a business or a personal account. A personal account only has 1 contact. The businesses have 3 contacts. They have an administrative contact, for instance, for order cancellation, or from our perspective, the administrative contact is the person responsible for the contracts that they have, that customer has. So I would send to the administrative contact everything that is related with subscription expiration as well. Not only order cancellation, but also subscription expiration. When it comes to invoicing, we want to, of course, notify the billing contact. And then we've got technical contacts. Service creation fields is not interesting. I mean, I don't know who created this slide. I'm always saying that, and I still don't know. I'm not interested in getting that answer. But the technical contact of the customer is not interested in that service creation field because he cannot troubleshoot it anyway. But what he wants to know is if he needs to create a record in his DNS zone. So they bought Office 365 and they want to use their own vanity domain like denecam.net, and now he has to create an MX record or a TXT record. That is what the technical contact needs to know about, because otherwise their service won't work. So from my perspective, again, what do you send where depends on the contact, or what template you send where depends on the content of the template, not on the title of that template or whether or not it's an order template or an order type or whether that's a subscription type. It's the information that you send in that message that is interesting for any of these three. Send it to that person. Another thing you can do is you can send out notifications to what we call distribution lists. I'm going to do that later because I want to first look at those contacts and at those templates. Because for the rest, I would say the distribution list is a completely separate topic. So what I want to do is I want to look at my notification templates. And where do I find those? We saw it before. In billing, there is a notification option under the system settings. This is found at provider level. If I would log in to my reseller, and let me quickly do that. I'm logging out and I'm using this username and password. It's the same. Oh yeah. This is Eric. Let me use another link. And now my mouse platforms. Where's my Eric demo set? There it is. Eric's demo. Accept all. Eric's demo. And now I'm logged in as a level 2 reseller. If I go to my classic panel to billing, system, settings, still under system, there is notification. So each level will be able to set up the notifications as he or she wants it. And my mouse decided that it doesn't want to work anymore. Let me quickly switch it off and switch it on again and see if it starts to behave.
It's Friday.
It's Friday, and for me,
it's tired. It's tired, you know.
It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so
yeah, it worked a lot this week. Yeah, it says no, come on, it's Friday. Let's not TGI. Friday.
So let's look at where we find those and what we find in those notifications. And I want to start with the common notification settings again. The thing we see here is the URL to your control panel, the URL to your website, and the URL to your logo. Where are these used? These are used in what we would call the subtemplate called header. And in my subtemplate called header, I have some content. And if I do a preview, this is how it looks. So you see here, there is no website, there's no control panel, and the logo says, I don't know. If I would fill it out, these things, let me go there, settings, notification, common notification settings. I would now, of course, put in at least a link to my control panel, which is this one. Go and edit the URL to your control panel, Control C. Sorry, yeah, that was stupid. Control C, Control V, and save it. I'm not doing the rest. Just show you the scenario. If I now go in there and I do a preview, you will see that there is a control panel link now. So it's that simple to get information in there. If your brand changes, you only have to change that common notification setting and you're done. For the rest, what we find here is the standard events. If I need to confirm my email, we send out a template with this name. If a customer has an overdue balance, meaning that he needs to pay, we have overdue balance there. We have the confirmation that the customer placed an order. We have etc., etc. If you don't want these notifications to be sent out, just remove them here from this list. If you do not want, for instance, to send out that a payment has been placed because you use fake payments, remove it from there. The same thing with refunds. If eventually you want them back there, just go in and select it again. Save. So these are the standard events. Then we have our templates themselves. And as I said, there are a couple. Let me reset the search quickly. I'm going to use a welcome email. Where are you? Doesn't matter which one, but I want to have a welcome email. And I'll explain later why. Let's take the welcome email Acronis. We have a general tab. The general tab gives me the subject. This is the subject that the customer will see in his mail client. We see a to address. We see a from address. Both placeholders. We see a customer account company name and for to, and we have a from name as well. So we're not sending them to an individual. We're sending them from the company to the company, even though the billing contact might be a personal email box from, in this case, the financial administrator. We have the HTML message here with all the tags in there, etc. I will show you a preview in a second. And we've got the plain text message. Same thing. And then we see where it's used. In this case, this template is there, but is not used. I would put this as a subscription provision template in the Acronis service plans. And you would see those names here. Let's go there and let's see if I can find Acronis in here. Oh, there are no Acronis plans. That's why it's not used. Okay. But I'm talking about this setting, notification about service provisioning. Going back to my Acronis one. So what is the content of this one? So let's, if I cannot read this, go for the preview. Activate your administrator account and log into the management console, add your partners or end users to this. This sounds like information that I would not leave to a financial person or to some administrative person. This feels like information that needs to go to the technical contact of that customer. Okay. Where do we send it? Well, we send it to the billing contact. That, for me at least, sounds not logical. Looking at the content of that email, I want to send it to the tech contact. So edit this and change billing here to tech contact. At the bottom, we see all the possible placeholders. We've got admin contacts. We've got billing contacts. We've got person contact. This is if you have a consumer email or a consumer customer. And I have also got a technical contact. So use that one. Maybe I should remove the space, otherwise it breaks. But now I'm sending to a technical contact. And another thing that I at least find very important is that the right people talk to the right people. I'm not sure about all of you, but if I have a question about an email, I hit reply. So if I receive an email that's not clear to me, I hit reply, put my question in and send it out. If we have technical people talking to admin people, probably we never get an answer. So I want technical contacts to talk to technical contacts. If my to address would be admin contact because of the content of that email, I want to have an admin contact here as well. The same story about billing contacts. I'm going to cancel this because I want to keep using this example. But think about what is the content of the email that I'm sending out and who is it relevant for. We also see that this is a subscription notification here. And this one goes out when we talk about renewal and expiration notifications. Let's cancel this. Let's reset the search. We have an overview here of where it comes from, where it goes to, whether it's active, etc. We will talk about that later. Nope, cancel. No, I can use this one. Doesn't matter. If I look at the HTML here, there are two sub-templates that I want to point you at. One is the style. That's a sub-template that is just a cascading style sheet, the CSS file or CSS content for this email. So in that style template, I can define my colors, my font types, etc., etc. If your house style changes, guess what? I only need to go into the style template, make the changes there, and from that moment on, every single email goes out in that new look and feel. The same thing for the header. If the layout of your header needs to change for whatever reason, because that designer that created the new look and feel of the company also moved around with that, you only need to go for the header and change it there. If the header is different for instance, because of the phone number or something on it, is different for an Office 365 than for the rest of the subscriptions, you can create two sub-templates, header and header 365, and apply those to the respective templates by calling header or calling header 365. And then we've got the bottom of our email where we have a notification signature, where we can have a notification footer, etc., etc. Again, everything changeable in one go. In this case, notification signature, what does it say? Signature, here it is. It is a sub-template. And it tells me just with best regards and the vendor account company name. Nothing fancy, but it's just saying this. So there isn't even a real, well, there are three words in there that are that are, let's say, not placeholders with best regards. So there's nothing, not that much to change. In that case, I want to look at the footer. So the footer tells me that customer service is available, blah, blah, blah. So if this changes, I only want to make sure that this information is correct. And by adding the footer to the respective emails where it's relevant for, I only need to update one sub-template and every single outgoing email is up to speed again. That's the fun part of those sub-templates. Besides that, under notifications, we have those expirations. And I think we looked at this already a couple of times. But what I have is the schedule itself that has a name, and we have the schedule details. In this case, there's only one notification going out, which is 30 days before the expiration date for all subscriptions. If I don't want that, I can either remove this and add new details or go in and edit this, because this is where we can set the condition. If a renewal order is not placed, and to what subscriptions is it applicable? Well, is it to only auto-renewing or non-auto-renewing subscriptions, etc., etc.? And is it applicable to trial subscriptions as well? And in your details, I can add multiple details where we can not only refer to the expiration date, but remember that story about the service terms where we first had the expiration date, then we had the grace period. At the end of that grace period is what we call the shutdown date. So we can send 2 or 3 days prior to that, we can send a notification that, guys, we're going to shut down your service in 2 days or in 3 days. If you don't want that, please renew that subscription. And then we've got at the end of our hold period, there is what we call the termination date. So we can tell the customer that in 3 days, we're going to terminate your subscription. Termination means we're going to throw away your data. If you don't have a backup, you cannot make it anymore. So the only chance you have is revive the subscription and make that backup. So those are those dates that you can refer to. Very powerful tools by setting up multiple notifications. I probably have a schedule that has multiple lines. So in this case, a subscription or a customer, let's say, can never, ever tell me that they missed out on this. Or that, at least not that we did not attempt to tell him. Because there are 2 notifications going out for non-auto renewing subscriptions. Then there are 2 notifications going out for auto renewing subscriptions before the expiration date. Then on the expiration date, if there is no renewal order, which is true if you reach the expiration date, we tell them that's a 3rd notification that their subscription has expired. Then on shutdown date, we tell them that the subscription has expired and that we stopped it. We can add a line here, let's say 2-3 days before that. Let's do that quickly. Expiration date, no, it's the shutdown date. Let's do 3 days before. And we send out a notification, and we do have those notifications there. We have a notification template that says subscription has expired and will be stopped soon. Boom. Always to all subscriptions, because there is no, there has not been a renewal order, because otherwise the subscription would not be expired. So I'm going to always send it out. And maybe I also want to warn them 3 days before termination that it will be terminated soon. Here we have it. Subscription has expired and will be terminated soon. Active. So now this customer receives, if he doesn't act on anything, receives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notifications before he can start complaining that nobody told him that his subscription would be deleted. And we can pull up the receipts, because these are the notifications that have gone out. This is my message log. This is the log of all the messages that we did send out to customers. So we can bring the receipts with dates sent, etc., etc. So we can tell him we sent to this and this person. We sent at that and that date, we sent these notifications. Oh, and by the way, let me quickly resend them. Resend messages. So that is how you can notify your customers. Let's go for another use case now. Let's look at another use case that I sometimes get questions about, that I will introduce myself now. Let's say Microsoft says that they are going to do a huge, maintenance window on Microsoft 365. with the risk that the service is unavailable for half an hour or for an hour. They tell you, but you want to tell your customers. How would you do that? Well, that is where those distribution lists come in. And distribution lists for me are, I think, the most underrated feature of the platform. What do I mean again with that? Well, the distribution list is something that you do not see in the control panel, or at least it's not obvious. So let me build a notification where this is going, where we're going to notify our customers. The first thing you need to do, of course, is create the template for it. So I'm going in and I'm going to add a new template and I'm going to assign it later. Let's assume I did that. So where do I find those distribution lists? Well, there's one thing I can always do. I can search. And here you see that there is something called a distribution list. There it is. I still don't know where it is in the menu, but I can add lists and send to. Where do I find this? Well, it's hidden under the operations header. And the things you see in the menu here are the things above the line, and then there are more operations. Not all of them have that, but you see that both operations and finance have it. Products doesn't, services doesn't, and system also doesn't. But we have more options here. Why are they hidden? Because you don't use them that often. So I go to my distribution list. If I want to use this more often and I want to have it available under one click, favorite it. Now it's showing here. I'm going to add a new distribution list, and I'm just going to say M365 unavailable. Something like that. Maybe the 7 does not belong there. And I'm assigning a template. Of course, this is where that new template should be. I'm using the new account notification template for it. Click next. And then we have to select to which customers to send this. I don't know, actually. So what I want to do is I want the system to figure that one out. So I'm going to send it to all. And then I'm going to either use a service plan criteria, or I'm going to add a plan category criteria. I'm going to first finish this. Because what I can do is in my plan categories, I can create several plan categories where a plan is just in there, in one of them. So in this case, Microsoft 365 Commercial NCE would be a good choice because probably all our Microsoft 365 plans are in this plan category. So going back to my distribution list, going to edit this one. Edit the criteria. I'm going to add a plan category criteria. In this case, the 365 commercial. Add. I can also add manual accounts, but I don't care because I said that I want all accounts when this is valid. I can do also ands and ors if I want to. So if you want this to be all Microsoft plans, I could add more plan categories with an or operator, of course. And the moment I want to start sending something, I select send to. And since I only have one, I click this one and I see that there are no accounts available in this case. Looks like nobody has a plan that is part of this plan category. I don't have subscribers. Let's look at it again let me see service plans, plan categories. How many plans are in this category? There's a lot, but there are no customers subscribed to it. So let me go for service plans and see who has service plans available. Let's put 100 on a page and sort by subscriptions. Do I have something that would work for me? Deldum demo product, let's take that one. There's one subscription to it. And the Deldum is in the plan category, managed services. So if I would edit my distribution list and the criteria where this one is edited to managed services, where are you? Managed services, save. And I say send to distribution list for this one. It should tell me that there's one account where it's going to send it to. So I think that this could be a very powerful tool to quickly notify your customers about things that are happening for a specific group of products or a category of products. And like I said, for me, this is one of the most underestimated and underrated features of the platform. Maybe because this requires good preparation, because you now have to think about, okay, what plan categories am I creating and why am I creating them? This could be a criterion to create just a few more plan categories. That's one thing. Plus, most people don't know that it exists. Most people think that the options you see here are the only options that are available. But as we saw, that is not true. Right? So, a couple of things to remember when we look at distribution lists. Criteria, you could also send it to a specific customer class. If you want to do, for instance, a promotion for a customer class, you can tell them. Specific subscriptions, you can send something to active accounts or inactive accounts if you want to. The system will also send notifications. For instance, the confirmation email. If you need to confirm your email, you will receive a notification where there's a link. That I think that link is about valid for an hour or so, and you have to react on that. If I forgot my password, there is that on the login page, there's that forgot password link you can send, and that will send a notification as well. I already showed it to you, but we also have that message log. I can resend information there. The trouble is that I can resend what is there. So if this customer did not set up his contacts correct, and he complains that he doesn't receive those notifications, you can resend those notifications, but they will go to the same email address. Be aware of that. I can resend a confirmation email to specific users, right? That's what I do in the message log. And I can send out a notification manually. If I go to those logs in billing and I go to the message logs, I can resend messages that I select, but I can also send a new message where I can type my, in this case, HTML body only. But it could be a simple email, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to a specific customer. And to which contact? I'm going to send it to either of these three. Then I type my subject, and then I type my body, and then I click send. Can I search for Eric? Probably. There we are. I want to send it to this guy. Let's take the admin contact, test email. This mail is to test the manual send feature. I click send, and in the meantime, I open my Outlook. At least at the last message, you will see that it is set up that way. It was sent out on the 3rd of May. I can go in and see what the content of that email was. I see the message subject here, and that's about it. Let me see, where is it? Not there yet. Is it in the other? Nope. Not sure if this one actually sends out notifications, but the notifications do not go out straight away. There is a, let's say, a buffer of, I think, 5 minutes or so to send out those emails. So let's wait for that to happen, if it happens at all. Going back to my slide deck in the meantime, we have those notification billing triggers like account status changes, service provisioning, payment methods that require approval, indebted messages, etc., etc. The predefined schedules we also covered. So what questions do you have on the notification part? If none, please give me that thumbs up again. Okay. Let's see if in the meantime my email comes in. Nope. Okay. Let's wait. I'm not going to wait for that email to come in. It is past. I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm going to give you 15 minutes of break. So let's be back at 45